My fiancée called me a backup plan, so I dumped her in front of everyone. I was never supposed to hear it. She never meant for the words to reach me. But once you hear something like that, you can't unhear it. It rattles around in your head, over and over, until it's the only thing you can think about. It happened 3 weeks before our wedding. I was at my fiancée's bachelorette party, or rather, outside of it. Emma and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 1, and everything was planned down to the last detail. Venue booked, dress bought, invitations sent. This night was supposed to be one last celebration before we officially started our lives together. I wasn't supposed to be there at all. She and her friends had rented a private event space at a bar, and I had gone out with my own friends to give her space. Toward the end of the night, one of her bridesmaids texted me, saying Emma had a little too much to drink and might need a ride home. I left the guys, drove over, and was about to head inside when I heard my name. I stopped just outside the entrance, half hidden behind the wall, as Emma's voice carried through the open patio doors. "Look, I love him," she was saying, words slightly slurred. "I do. But let's be real, okay? He was never my first choice." Laughter. Someone else spoke, one of her friends. Maybe her maid of honor, Natalie? "Come on, don't say that." "I mean, it's true," Emma insisted. "You all know it. I waited years for Aaron to commit, and when he didn't, I had to be realistic. I couldn't waste my best years waiting for something that was never going to happen." Another voice chimed in. "But you and my name are great together. You're happy, right?" Emma made a noise, somewhere between a laugh and a scoff. "Of course I'm happy. He's sweet, he treats me well, he's safe. But you think if Aaron had proposed, I'd be here right now?" Silence, then quieter. We all know the answer to that. My stomach dropped. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I shouldn't have been standing there, I should have left, walked away before I heard anything worse, but I was frozen in place, waiting, hoping, for something, anything that would make this all some terrible misunderstanding. It never came. Emma sighed dramatically. "Look, I love him, okay? But if I had the choice? If Aaron had ever been ready, I wouldn't be marrying my name." That was it. The moment everything in my head went silent, I turned around, walked back to my car, and drove home. Emma texted me 20 minutes later. "Barb, where are you? I thought you were picking me up." I didn't respond. I didn't trust myself to. Instead, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, letting the words repeat in my head like a broken record. I wouldn't be marrying him if I had the choice. I had always known about Aaron. He was her ex from college, the guy she had been obsessed with for years before we met. When we started dating, she told me they had been on and off, but that she had finally closed that door for good. Said he was toxic, unreliable, the type of guy who strung women along but never actually committed. I had believed her. And now I knew the truth. I was her backup plan. The guy she settled for when the one she really wanted wouldn't step up. The next morning she came home, hungover but smiling. "You're such a jerk for ditching me last night," she teased, setting her purse down. "Natalie had to call an Uber for me." I stared at her, half expecting her to say something, to maybe acknowledge what she had said, but she didn't. She had no idea I had been there, no idea I knew everything, and in that moment I decided I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to let her think everything was fine. I was going to wait until the perfect moment, and when that moment came, I was going to destroy her. Emma had no idea I knew. That was the only thing keeping me sane. If she had walked through that door the next morning and confessed, if she had shown even an ounce of guilt, I don't know what I would have done. But she didn't. She strolled into our apartment like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just admitted to her closest friends that I was her consolation prize. She made coffee, chatted about how wild her bachelorette party had been, and laughed about how Natalie had to practically drag her into the Uber. I just sat there, nodding along, forcing a smile when appropriate. Inside, I was replaying every word she had said the night before. If I had the choice, I wouldn't be marrying him. For the first time in our 4-year relationship, I felt like I was looking at a stranger. I could have confronted her right then, thrown everything in her face, demanded answers, made her squirm. But that would have given her control. She would have cried, apologized, told me I had misunderstood. She would have twisted it, downplayed it, and somehow made me feel guilty for listening in on a conversation I was never supposed to hear. No, that wasn't going to happen. Instead, I played dumb. For the next 3 weeks, I let her believe everything was fine. I kissed her goodbye in the morning, helped finalize wedding plans, even sat through a cake tasting like I wasn't about to burn the whole thing to the ground. She kept going on about how excited she was, how she couldn't wait to be my wife, and every time she said it, it made me sick. I knew exactly how this was going to end. I just had to wait for the perfect moment. The night before the wedding, both our families gathered for the rehearsal dinner. It was a nice place, one of those restaurants with dim lighting and overpriced steak, packed with people who spent more time taking pictures of their food than eating it. Emma was glowing, dressed in white, laughing with her bridesmaids, clinging to my arm like she was the luckiest woman in the world. If I hadn't known better, I would have thought she actually wanted to marry me. Her parents made a toast, talking about how strong and beautiful our love was. My mum wiped away a tear. Emma squeezed my hand, looking up at me with so much love in her eyes. It was almost enough to make me doubt myself, almost. But then Natalie made her toast. Natalie, the same bridesmaid who had been at the bachelorette party, the same woman who had heard Emma call me her backup plan. She stood up, raising her glass, smiling like this was any other wedding speech. "I've known Emma for years," she started. "She's always been the type of woman who knows exactly what she wants." Emma giggled, nodding along. "She's passionate, driven, and when she sets her mind to something, nothing can stop her." More nodding, more smiles. "And that's why I know she, and, will have a beautiful life together. Because she chose him." I went still. The word hung in the air like a bad smell. Chose. I glanced at Emma, and for the first time all night she looked off. Stiff. Uncomfortable. Like she had just realized that Natalie was playing with fire. Natalie lifted her glass higher. "She chose him," she repeated, voice smooth as silk. "Because when the one who got away didn't step up, was right there, ready to be the man she needed. Dead." Silence. Emma's grip on my hand tightened. I looked around the table. Emma's parents were smiling, clueless. My parents were watching curiously. The bridesmaids were shifting in their seats. Natalie knew exactly what she was doing. Emma let out a forced laugh. "Okay, Nat. I think that's enough." But Natalie wasn't finished. "Honestly, it's kind of beautiful when you think about it." She turned to me, eyes sparkling. "You loved her enough to wait until she was ready. You never pressured her, never made her feel like she was second choice." She tilted her head, looking at Emma. "And now she gets to marry the man who actually committed." Emma's nails were practically digging into my skin. I smiled. Because this was it. This was my moment. I stood up slowly, adjusting my jacket, and gently pulled my hand away from hers. "You know what, Natalie?" I said, picking up my glass. "You're absolutely right." Emma let out a nervous laugh. "Babe?" I turned to face the whole room. "It's beautiful. The way life works out. How sometimes you think you're someone's first choice, only to find out you were just convenient." My mum frowned. "Sweetheart, what are you talking about?" Emma reached for my arm. "Okay, you're making this weird." I pulled out my phone and tapped a few buttons. The room filled with static for a second, and then, "You think if Aaron had proposed, I'd be here right now?" Emma's face went ghost white. Someone gasped. "We all know the answer to that." The recording played clearly, Emma's voice echoing through the room. She stood up so fast that her chair scraped against the floor. "What the hell is this?" I let the clip finish, then slipped my phone back into my pocket. "That, dear fiancé, is the moment you called me your backup plan." A murmur swept through the room. Emma's mother had her hands over her mouth. Her father looked furious. My dad was just shaking his head. Emma's face twisted into something desperate. "Where did you get that?" "I was outside the bar," I said simply. "I heard everything." The color drained from her face. "And since you weren't honest enough to say it to me, I figured I'd let everyone else hear it instead." She reached for me again, but I stepped back. "You don't get to marry me out of convenience, Emma." My voice was steady, even. "I deserve better than that." And with that, I set my engagement ring on the table and walked out of the restaurant, leaving her standing there in stunned silence. Behind me, I heard her mother burst into tears. The wedding was officially off. I didn't look back. Not once. I walked straight out of that restaurant, leaving behind the stunned silence, the whispers, and Emma's desperate attempts to control the situation. As soon as I stepped outside, the night air hit me like a shock to the system. My hands were shaking, my heart was still pounding, but I had never felt so clear-headed in my life. It was done. I had dropped the truth on her in front of everyone, and now she had to live with the consequences. My phone was already vibrating in my pocket. I didn't even have to check to know who it was. I let it ring, then checked my notifications. 8 missed calls, 3 texts from Emma, 1 from Natalie. Where are you? Please talk to me. Bear, we can fix this. I didn't mean it like that. Call me, please. She had some nerve. I turned off my phone, got into my car, and drove home. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I regretted what I did, because I didn't. At all. But the adrenaline was still rushing through me, and I knew this was far from over. Sure enough, the next morning my doorbell rang. I already knew who it was before I even opened the door. Emma was standing there, eyes red and puffy, wearing the same dress from the night before. She looked like she had spent the whole night crying, but I didn't feel bad for her, not even a little. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I sighed, leaned against the door frame, and crossed my arms. "Talk about what? How I was your backup plan? How you were just settling for me?" Her lip trembled. "That's not fair?" I actually laughed. "Not fair? Emma, I played a recording of your own words. You said it." She swallowed hard. "You weren't supposed to hear that." "Yeah, well, I did." She wiped at her face. "I was drunk. I didn't mean it." I shook my head. "That's a weak excuse and you know it. You meant every word." She took a shaky breath. "I love you." "No," I said flatly. "You love the idea of me. You love that I was willing to commit when Aaron wouldn't. That's what you love." Her silence told me I was right. I wasn't going to waste another second on this. "I have nothing else to say, Emma." She reached for my arm, her voice breaking. "Please, Babes, I don't want to lose you." I stepped back, out of her reach. "You lost me a long time ago," and then I shut the door in her face. I'd like to say that was the last time she tried to contact me, but of course it wasn't. Over the next few days, she texted constantly. Long, emotional paragraphs followed by angry outbursts when I didn't respond. Then came the calls from her mother, trying to guilt me into reconsidering. "She made a mistake, but you don't just walk away from love. You're embarrassing her." Now the second time, I'm betting. This isn't just about you. I didn't respond to her either. Then Natalie texted, "Dude, she's losing it. She's saying you humiliated her in front of her family. Honestly, I think she deserved it. But just a heads up, she's trying to control the story." That didn't surprise me. People like Emma never admit when they're wrong. They rewrite the narrative, make themselves the victim. But the funny thing about that? I had receipts. So when she started telling people that I overreacted and misunderstood what she meant, I did exactly what I needed to do. I sent the recording to the group chat with all of our mutual friends. Then I turned off my phone. By the time I checked it again, it was a disaster. Holy shit. So she really said all that? Dude, you dodged a bullet. I can't believe she was still going through with the wedding knowing she felt that way. Does her family know? Oh, they knew. Her father had already called mine, furious about the whole thing. But instead of being mad at me, my dad told him exactly what he thought. Maybe if your daughter actually loved my son, this wouldn't have happened. After that, Emma's family stopped trying to contact me. The wedding, of course, was officially cancelled. My mum handled getting the deposits back for everything she could, and I let her. Because I was done. A week later, I went back to the apartment to grab the last of my things. I had already signed off on the lease transfer, meaning Emma would be keeping the place. When I walked inside, she was sitting on the couch, looking drained. "You really leaving?" she asked softly. "Yeah." She bit her lip. "You won't even try to fix this?" I sighed, running a hand over my face. "Emma, what's there to fix? You said if Aaron had proposed, you wouldn't be here." Her voice cracked. "But he didn't." And there it was. Not I was wrong, not I regret what I said, just a simple fact. Her first choice didn't pick her, so she had to settle for me. I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. "That's the thing, Emma. I don't want to be anyone's backup plan." She didn't follow me. She didn't say anything else. She just sat there, staring at the floor, while I walked out of her life for good. I never looked back. Leaving that apartment for the last time should have felt sad, but it didn't. It felt like freedom. No more pretending. No more planning a future with someone who saw me as her safe option. I wasn't going to spend my life with a woman who settled for me. Emma didn't text after that. No calls, no emails, just complete silence. Maybe she finally realized there was nothing left to say, or maybe she was too busy trying to fix her reputation after I exposed her in front of her family and friends. Either way, I was done. Her mother, however, had plenty to say. 2 days after I left, I woke up to an email from her. It was long, dramatic, and exactly what I expected. You should be ashamed of yourself for humiliating Emma like that. No relationship is perfect, and you're acting like you never made mistakes. She loves you, and you threw her away over some drunken words that didn't mean anything? Right. Didn't mean anything. That's why she repeated them multiple times. That's why her friends agreed with her. That's why she was comfortable enough to say it out loud in public to the people closest to her. I didn't bother responding, just deleted the email and moved on with my day. Then my mum called. "You are not going to believe what I just heard," she said, amusement clear in her voice. "Let me guess," I sighed. "Emma's telling everyone I overreacted?" "Oh, she isn't saying much, but apparently her friends are tearing each other apart over what happened." That caught my attention. "What do you mean?" "Well, after you dropped that recording in the group chat, some of them turned on her. Natalie, for one. She's telling anyone who will listen that Emma knew exactly what she was doing and that she deserves everything that happened." That wasn't surprising. Natalie had thrown her under the bus in real time at the rehearsal dinner. "The others?" Mum continued. "Some are defending her, saying you overreacted. Others are pissed that she lied to them too. Apparently a few of them didn't even know she was still hung up on Aaron." I sat back letting that sink in. "So she lost some friends over this?" "Oh, absolutely. And from what I hear, Aaron wants nothing to do with her either." Now that was interesting. Emma had spent years holding on to this fantasy that one day Aaron would change his mind, that he'd come running back, realize she was the love of his life. But now she was humiliated, abandoned, and stuck cleaning up the mess she made. I won't lie, I took a little satisfaction in that, but I wasn't about to let her drama consume my life any longer. A week after the wedding was supposed to happen, I ran into Emma by accident. I had been avoiding the usual spots, but I wasn't going to hide from her either. Unfortunately, she was already sitting at the coffee shop I walked into. She saw me before I could turn around. For a second, we just stared at each other. She looked different. Tired, drained, like someone who hadn't slept much. Not my problem. She stood up, walked over hesitantly. "Hey." I wasn't in the mood for this. "What do you want, Emma?" She looked down, twisting the ring on her finger. Except it wasn't my ring, it was some cheap gold band. Probably one she bought herself after I left. I don't know how to fix this." "There is no fixing this," I said, already annoyed. "What do you expect me to say?" "I don't know," she whispered. I miss you." That actually made me laugh. "No, you don't. You miss having someone who put up with your bullshit. You miss having a backup plan." Her face crumpled. "That's not true. Then what do you want from me, Emma?" She hesitated, and for the first time I saw it. Regret. Not because she lost me, but because she lost the security I gave her. She thought I would be there forever, that I'd always be waiting. She was wrong. I picked up my coffee, already done with this conversation. "Take care, Emma." And just like that, I walked away. The week after everything fell apart, I packed my bags and took a trip. I needed to clear my head, put some distance between myself and the disaster that had been my almost marriage. For the first time in years, I didn't have to check in with anyone, didn't have to plan around someone else's schedule, didn't have to wonder if I was enough. I was enough. Emma was the one who had never deserved me. By the time I got back home, I felt lighter. The wedding venue had been refunded, the lease was out of my name, and my social media accounts were cleared of any trace of my former fiancée. A few weeks later, Natalie texted me. "Hope you're doing okay. You made the right call, by the way. Also, Emma's a mess. Just thought you'd like to know." I didn't reply. But I won't lie. Reading that felt damn good. Life went on. Emma's name stopped coming up in conversations. Friends moved on. I went back to focusing on my career, my hobbies, the things that made me happy before I got caught up in someone else's mess. And the best part? I didn't feel angry anymore. No bitterness, no regret, just relief. A year later, I heard through mutual friends that Emma was still single. Apparently, Aaron had ghosted her after everything went public, and most of her friends had distanced themselves. I won't pretend I felt bad. She made her choices. She got exactly what she deserved. And me? I was happier than ever. I had dodged a bullet, and I wasn't looking back.